So at Strathclyde, we have conducted a programme of research not only into criminal justice decision-making, but also into the experiences of victims and the views and perceptions of members of the public. And what this shows is that the public and victims really value two things: accountability and participation. That the person should be accountable for what they've done, and secondly, that contrary to what often is assumed, victims do want to participate in a process they see as fair. So if we keep those two values at the core of our thinking, how do we then respond to what is in fact a long-term problem? And of course, politicians and civil servants have understandably relatively shorter time horizons. This problem is one that's been at least 50 years in the making. So what do we do? Well, in the long term, what we need to do is to set a date and try to achieve a consensus that we're going to cease using criminal justice as essentially social policy. So where someone's needs are far greater than the seriousness of their offending, and their offending doesn't warrant, for example, imprisonment, they should not be going to prison because of their literacy needs, because of their homelessness, and so on. And through no fault of any practitioners, that often ends up happening currently. We need to set a date by which we move towards that as our goal, say 2045, for example. But in the short term, what can we do? There are a couple of things, for instance. We need to improve the quality of information about current patterns of sentencing, and this can be done in quite a small but carefully done way, an agile way, to inform the public. And when people realise that sentencing is not nearly as lenient as they thought, they tend to be very relieved and pleased. And secondly, we could use restorative justice in a small and targeted way, sensitively done, and that would enable us to be able to show in those cases how dialogue is possible between the offender and the victim. And it gives us a more positive story to tell.